fourth step in the famous acronym is outreach. Now, once you have your press release and your email pitch, how do you communicate that to the media? And you should do that via email. And when you're writing journalists, you basically have two options of how you can contact them. The first is to offer an exclusive, and the second is to offer an embargo. And I want to break down each of these. With the exclusive, you're basically contacting the media and you're saying, hi, I'm about to launch a crowdfunding campaign, or we just hit a milestone in my crowdfunding campaign. Would you like an exclusive on this announcement? Well, you have first right to publish the story. Now, the reason why an exclusive is very important is that journalists are looking to break stories. And when you offer an exclusive, you're basically saying, hey, I can contact hundreds of writers, but I specifically am interested in you writing the story. And the reporters really like that. And it's a way you can build a relationship. And especially if you don't have a prior relationship with them, this is a way that you can stand out. Because if you think about it from a journalist's perspective, if they're getting 30 pitches that day, and 29 of them, they have to share the story with other people, and one of them is an exclusive just for them, they'll be more likely to pay attention to the exclusive. So that's option one. Now, once the article comes online, you could email others to further coverage as much as possible. So an exclusive does not mean that only one publication will write about you, but you can try to almost guarantee a certain amount of coverage. The second is the embargo. And with the embargo, let's say your crowdfunding campaign is launching on August 15th. What you would do is email, let's say, 30 news publications, and you would say, we are about to announce our crowdfunding campaign launch on this date. Would you be interested in writing about it at, let's say, 10 a.m. East Coast time on that specific date? So ideally, your crowdfunding campaign comes online, many publications write about it all in the morning, and it ends up being this big win because you're able to generate a lot of revenue very early on and build that momentum, which is very important. Now, people often ask, should I use an exclusive or should I use an embargo? And there isn't necessarily a right answer. The reason is, embargoes are high risk, high reward. Maybe a ton of publications write about your company and you get a lot of media coverage, but maybe people decide not to. With the exclusive, the opposite is true. You're able to kind of guarantee a certain amount of coverage. With crowdfunding campaigns, what would I recommend for each of you? In general, I would recommend an embargo. And the reason why with your crowdfunding campaigns is it's so important to get that early momentum that can then help kind of build this momentum for these other announcements and to get that early traction. And having an embargo on multiple publications really help enable that. I want to mention one exception. Let's say you have a very specific audience and there's one publication that would just be a huge win for your company. So maybe you have a tech product and you just really feel strongly, hey, if TechCrunch covers you for your crowdfunding campaign, you're going to hit your goal, etc. Or maybe it's the Wall Street Journal, maybe it's one of these others. If you really feel that strongly for that one publication, I recommend offering an exclusive to them because you're going to better your chances for that specific company. What I want to show you right now is an example email. This you can see resulted on Forbes, and it was a member of my team who wrote. And some things I want to mention about what this email template contains and how each of you can follow a very similar structure. The first is that it opens with a journalist's name. So a lot of people, when they contact the media, their subject line actually just says for immediate release. No reporter name, nothing, no information. And reporters they're not likely to open up those emails. So, whatever reporter you're contacting, you can probably find their name very easily online or via the email, address them by their name. I like to open with a hope all as well. And in this email, we were very clear from the start that it is an exclusive. And the reason why we do that is that if you don't mention it's an exclusive, they will presume that they are sharing the story with other people. So we want to be very clear with that. We're also very polite and just appreciative of their time. In this example, saying, we really appreciate Forbes, potentially being interested in this. One of the things that can really bother journalists is having founders feel very entitled. That, hey, you know what, you should be happy to cover my company because we are so exciting, etc. And it's important, I think, to just be respectful of reporters' time, especially for your crowdfunding campaign. Because the reality is that there are many crowdfunding campaigns being started every single month. To continue with the email, what we basically do is describe roughly what the big mission of the company and what we're trying to do, and the problem that we're solving. Each of you, for your crowdfunding campaigns, here this is where you would explain your first line, the big mission of your company, and secondly, what you do. So, as a specific example, what I like to do is have one sentence explaining what is the big mission. So if this was a co-working space, we would say, hey, our mission is to turn this city into this center of innovation. The second sentence would say, okay, if that's the big mission, what are you starting with? So for the co-working space, saying we are building the space where we're going to host events, activities, etc. So something to keep in mind for your crowdfunding campaign, if your mission is to help disrupt the healthcare system in Latin America, that's great. Lead with that. But the second sentence say, well, how are you exactly going to do that? Is that an app? Kind of explain what the product is doing for your crowdfunding campaign. The third paragraph I like to do is include some interesting storylines and facts about your company. And the last part is basically an actionable next step. So the last paragraph could say something like, I've attached a press release. If you'd like, we're happy to have a phone call to set this up. I really appreciate your time, etc. Something very important that I want to mention is to remember to include one follow-up email. So this is a follow-up email I recommend for your crowdfunding campaigns. Basically, it looks like this. Hi, the name of the reporter. I hope all's well. I wanted to send a quick follow-up to my earlier announcement. I know you're really busy. If you don't have the chance to respond, thanks for your time, your name. And this is important again. You're being really respectful. And it's very important because reporters are overwhelmed with a lot of emails. And as an example, I remember a recent crowdfunding campaign announcement. We sent off, I think it was 25 emails. Maybe 2 people responded. We sent one follow-up email, and about 20 people later responded to that follow-up email. So it's just to emphasize again, I recommend always sending at least one follow-up email to reporters. I think, after that, it should be a case-by-case basis. In general, I don't recommend more than 2 follow-ups. But again, it's really a case-by-case basis. You don't want to be obnoxious, but again, at least one follow-up. So that's the 4th step about what your email should look like when you contact the media. And the 5th step that we're about to go and talk about is unrelenting and how you can further coverage even more for your crowdfunding campaign.